This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience.
David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of methods, time, people, places, and things. But at its heart, at its core, the Auburn experience is all about three things: Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. Say it with me. If it's orange and blue, it is what we do. So thank you so much for joining us on episode 140 of the Auburn Experience podcast on a different day and time, because it's Labor Day weekend, folks. Things just get crazy sometimes. I'm here, your host, Kyle Loomis, alongside me after finally braving the mighty Baylor Bear Waco Frontier himself and having to battle some plane flight issues. He's back, Austin Scott.
We're back. We made it back. It was touch and go there for just a second, but we made it back. American Airlines got us through. So after a long weekend and a long travel day, we're glad to be back and appreciate the patience for everyone letting us do this a little bit later than normal.
Absolutely. And look, here's the reality. It's a holiday weekend, so there's a lot going on that, we probably needed to wait on. And as we even had some news break a little bit before, we're recording this at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central on a Monday. Our normal time is Sunday at 9 Eastern time, 8 Central. We're getting a little bit of stuff that was very important to talk about for some exciting things in the Auburn experience that are going to be coming up. And I know we're getting a couple of new people popping in that don't normally get to join us. So this is a great thing about doing this show, Austin. As much as we try to maintain a schedule, when we have moments like this, we make the best of it. And then we get to have new people remember, oh, hey, yeah, they do this show on a Sunday night really late. And they go talk for over an hour or almost 2 hours. Like, do you think we can maintain it this week?
I think we'll be okay this week. We're pretty settled. We got some strict guidelines. I think we'll be okay.
It's certainly, it's not a week where every single day you have like the biggest news story ever in Auburn football. We're not claiming any titles this week. We're not retiring any more numbers, but we are claiming some Baylor Bear territory. And can I just have a personal moment here, Austin? Just for a minute, just to do something personal. Please. Business. I'm looking right here. Brothers, you have failed me by foregoing your Auburn fandom, and you paid the price for it. The Auburn Tigers were always going to be victorious, and you paid the price for it. So anyway, I just had to give that a little bit of a shout out to my brothers who were Auburn fans, who married Baylor ladies and now have switched their fandoms. One of them can't decide what he wants to be. He's like Sanford, he's Baylor, he's SMU. Somehow in the middle of his early age, he was an Auburn Tiger fan. I don't know. It's people can't make up their minds sometimes, but
it is what it is.
It's disappointing.
I was able to have some family win the family battle over my mom this week too. She got to see her, and she, first and foremost, she was as excited as she could be to get to share the Auburn world with a bunch of her Baylor people. And we'll talk a little bit about the experience later, but we got you this time, Mom. And so we'll see how it goes next year, but Auburn steals the first one.
Well, how about this? Let's do this real quick, because maybe this fits best in this moment. You did take a trip to Baylor. We're going to talk about the game. How about you just start us off? Like, what did you experience? Were the people nice? Were they kind? I know you have familiarity. We've talked about this with Baylor in that area before.
Yes.
But you going as a fan of another team invading their territory, what did you see? What did you hear? What did you like? What didn't you like?
Yeah, like you mentioned, I've had this one circled for a while. There's family roots here. Some friends from school out closer that way that we knew would be an easy logistical trip. And so Emily and I made the trip out to Dallas and stayed there for the time, the first night, and then went to Waco for the whole day on Friday. And it was great. It was it rained a little bit in the morning time, but it kind of kept it cooler than we originally anticipated it being. And so thankfully the weather wasn't too bad. Now it's still the middle of Texas, so it's going to be hot.
What was that heat index? 104, I think is what I heard. Something.
Whatever it was, it felt too low because it was higher. But it was warm, but just good people. There's a lot of similarities there, I think, with Auburn and Baylor in terms of being a smaller school surrounded by some big ones. Beautiful campus, really, really pretty town. And the stadium, I couldn't say enough about the stadium. It was beautiful. clean, still very new, and just an all around good experience. So really thankful to get that chance, and I hope Auburn's able to kind of return the favor next year. I'm sure they will.
Listen, I'm really excited about welcoming the Baylor Bears back because you and I have talked about this a lot. One of the things that we pride our fan base on, and what we have a lot of people take away when they come visit Auburn is us being good hosts outside of the dynamics of the game, outside of what the results of it are. But I am excited to hear what their take is going to be, and we're going to get really firsthand experiences because I've got a lot of, I guess, do you consider them your in-laws if like they're not, like my brother married a Baylor family. Are they my in-laws?
I don't know. It's all interchangeable. It's like my sister-in-law can be 3 different people. Like I have brothers that have spouses and then brothers-in-law that have spouse. It's just crazy.
It's so confusing. Anyway, we've got connected family that is now married in family that's going to be coming to visit Auburn for the first time. So I'm excited to show that around. Did you have any bad moments were there any Baylor fans that were just doing too much sick'em or whatever it was?
No, we had some students who I don't think they knew how to trash talk, to be quite honest with you. It was a group of girls. We had just went to see the live Bears and just come from there. And they were just kind of like, I think they really wanted to trash talk and just didn't know how. It was like, we're gonna beat y'all. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
And then it was like, we were going to see what Baylor's version of Sanford Hall is, their administrative building. And they're like, hey, the stadium's that way. We were like, we know. We're just going this way.
We can literally see it. Everything's flat. We can see everything for miles.
So I just, besides that, I don't think they really quite understood. There was an occasion that I'm remembering walking by of the War Eagles or Go Tigers. Which one are you? And it was just like, you just mind your own business. Okay.
I don't want to hear nothing from somebody who's a bear and says sick 'em. You don't sick bears on anything. The bear sicks you because it's coming to kill you. Not tigers though. Can we just acknowledge that tigers
That's right.
always beat bears? We'll prove that again next year. But in all seriousness though, I am very jealous that you got to go. I really wanted to make this trip out there after having visited Waco before. It was a lovely place. And frankly, all the joking and ribbing aside, I was very happy that the Auburn Tigers got to go out there and experience it. But the record is now 2-2-1. It's all evened up. There
you go.
Can control the series next year if we get that win. But time will tell on that. All right, let's get started with Auburn potpourri. We got a lot to talk about here as always. I know I say that all the time, but I probably will never stop saying it. We do have a bunch of updates for other sports. We are technically live recording. Well, we are live recording, but we're waiting on something to finish up. I don't know that it's going to finish up in time, but at least we can get a good guess on what's going to happen.
That's right.
We're going to bump that to the end. Let's start with this. And I know this is a terrible shift of things here, but we had something happen during our live stream last week, and we knew about it, knew it was kind of coming to light as the show was going on. And unfortunately, the news did break for not only the Auburn baseball family, but the Auburn family at large. And more importantly, this person's family. Legendary, I think, is not too strong a word to use. Auburn, I'll throw in superfan, Mike Cooper, also known as the helmet guy, tragically passed away. And that was not a way you wanted to kick the week off. What was going to be an exciting week outside of everything. Listen, the most important thing is life and making sure that you always tell everybody that you love them and that you appreciate them while you got them here. And this is just one of those moments here that just kind of rocks you to your core on a week that was supposed to be so happy and uplifting and all that kind of stuff. So we there's been details about what may or may not have happened, but it is a tragedy. It was very unexpected. We won't really go into the details of that. But if you don't know the story, Mike Cooper is very well known at all throughout the Auburn baseball and softball family, but the Auburn family at large. But he does all the cheers at every. You have heard him, I promise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. You have not missed him. And listen, he was not annoying like the Vanderbilt whistle guy. He's actually doing something that's supposed to be doing. You're leading cheers and things like that. So, man, what else can we say here? Because we obviously can't comfort the family that we would like the way we'd like to, but it's just a tragic time right now.
It's tragic, and it's a loss in Auburn family. Like you said, you might have your opinions on how busy Mike was during the game, and if you wanted it or not, but you couldn't take away the spirit he had and the joy he got from cheering on Auburn student athletes, whether it was baseball or softball. And so I hate that we will not hear those cheers in that same way anymore. I'm sure there will be, a version of him that lives on, and in some way cheers will continue just through a different voice. But yeah, it is tragic, and it was a hard way to start the week.
It was definitely a hard way to start the week. And that's my biggest question, is who carries the load for that now? I mean, it's going to be so foreign to not hear his voice ringing out across both Jane B. Moore and Plainsman Park. And it's, it's just one of those things that you don't really know what to say sometimes, or even how to walk forward. All we can say is that our prayers continue to go out to, obviously the Cooper family, and to the, just extending it out, friends and family, the Auburn baseball family, and
yes,
the Auburn family continues to mourn with you all. But in light of that tragedy, we are always going to remember the fond times and carry on his memory as best we can by continuing on as an Auburn family. Keeping it in the baseball realm, this is a little bit of happy news to get us going here. And one of the great things, Austin, about having to switch gears and do a show on a Monday this week is Monday's a big news cycle. Things come out. And lo and behold, about an hour and a half before we broadcasted, a big announcement for Auburn baseball and the Savannah Bananas. Now, let me just say this, Austin. First of all, Austin's not going to be here that weekend.
That's right. It's true.
Let's rub it in right now that he has to miss out on this. Here's the crazy thing about this, Austin. I was in the middle of doing some other things, and I didn't have my phone next to me. And my wife sends me a text and goes, this is real, I want you to get tickets for this as soon as it happens. So we're already planning.
There you go.
To come apparently on the Auburn non-football weekend. I'll talk about the details in just a second here, but the news, the Savannah Bananas are officially going to play the Auburn baseball team in an exhibition game as part of fall ball. We see this every year, right? You get 1, 2 inter squad games, games with other teams. Auburn went down to Florida, down to Pensacola to take on Florida State, I believe.
That's right.
At the time. Very common things here, but how often do you get a semi-pro, the biggest entertainment feat that's happening right now, come to Plainsman Park? This is incredible. You want to talk about a way to kick off a week, and it's not even football related. This is awesome.
It is an excellent way for Auburn to keep people, still in town on an away weekend. It's going to bring droves of people in. It's just unbelievable how kind of that it's happening, how much Savannah Bananas has blown up in itself, but that they're going to come to Plainsman Park. I love this idea. I think it's a great idea for them to travel around in the fall to college campuses. But Plainsman Park, with all its enhancements and all its extra seating we've been talking about for the last year, is a great candidate to get to host the Bananas, and it will be jam-packed. If they don't have the sketchy scaffolding back out over the top right field, you might want to get it out, Rhett.
Did I read that? Again, we are still gathering information because this is fresh news here, but I think that was referenced that there was going to be some setup out there.
There you go.
If not just the regular outfield for the students.
Right.
Regular seating tickets are going to go through the Savannah Bananas. I believe premium seating is going to go through Auburn. 7 p.m. Central Time is the game, I think
that's what I saw. Yep.
And this is the Savannah Banana All-Stars versus the Auburn. So my guess with that signifier, Austin, is this is going to be maybe not their number one crew, but but just some of the more fun things, because we are going to play by their rules. And
banana ball rules.
It's going to be fun. So that means outs if the fans catch it, correct?
That's right. That's right.
What else is there anything else like we have to know about that, or other than just shenanigans happening?
That's the big one. That's the one that they try to enforce the most because it's so integral to the game. But I think that there will be plenty more to come out about it. And those tickets are going to be like hotcakes.
Mm-hmm.
So you better be on it. If Jessica's telling you to do it, you better be on top of this.
We're working on something here. We're also now, if this comes to fruition, planning to do a little bit something special that week. In Auburn and Arkansas will be playing the early game, which is why they did it this way, away. And so there's not going to be any conflicts in town. There won't be any time conflicts for football either. So folks, this might be a really good weekend for you to come to Auburn and have kind of a low-key day and still maybe tailgate a little bit in some way. I don't know if they're going to allow you to do that in a sense. I don't think they can.
Don't forget that parking deck too. Like you might not catch an out up there. You could, but you might not catch an out up there, but you get the full view of the parking deck from the game from the parking deck.
Austin, if someone catches an out
That's
in the
incredible.
upper deck, that's just like top 10 moments in Auburn baseball history right there, because Savannah Banana is the first time ever an out happens in Plainsman parking lot. And if it's AUPPL, if Kevin Ives is the one that catches that, he's
How
forever
fitting.
a legend, like forever a legend. And can we tie what we just talked about in? Might find a way to honor the late Mike Cooper as well with
Very
a special
cool.
thing as well. Sometimes things just work out that way. But anyway, outside of all that, exciting news for Auburn baseball and for Auburn fans, just in general, something not even related to football during football season. Some good stuff there. Another thing that happened this week that was very special for us that I want to personally address. We had the opportunity to view Unspoken 2010, the story of the Auburn Football Championship of 2010. It's their 3-part series on War Eagle Plus. The athletic department allow us to view that and review it early. Some of y'all saw our social media post about that. We put out a reel with my quick thoughts about that. And just once again, want to thank the athletic department for allowing us the opportunity to do that. And folks, if you're not signed up for War Eagle Plus, and if first of all, sign up. Second of all, and we get nothing for this, by the way, this is just me trying to tell you you're missing out if you're not doing it. Second of all, if you have War Eagle Plus and haven't viewed it, what are you doing? Now, Austin, I know you haven't viewed it yet, so I'm not setting you up. You got a busy life, all that stuff. But I'm just saying today, go watch that, because this is a 3-part series, Austin, where telling the full story. And as I said in my review online about it, you've got to understand how the stage, which is the title of this part, was set up to have that performance go off of the 2010. And there were so many. Do you remember the Tiger Prowl recruiting efforts of that, like leading up to that year of 2000? And that's where they rented those Tiger limousines and took them to high schools and stuff. Trooper came up with Curtis Looper, all that kind of stuff. Like, I was shocked with the amount of time they spent telling the story before even Cam Newton comes into the picture. Like,
interesting.
That's the stuff that we forget about sometimes.
Yeah.
Is that what leads up to those great moments. And I think that's why it's really important to watch. You were aware, right, that Cam almost didn't come to Auburn, right?
Yes. I remember. And so, like you said, I had a busy week last week traveling and such, but it's something I definitely want to spend time watching, hopefully this week or the coming weeks. I've heard nothing but good things, especially from you and your review. So I'm really looking forward to it. When is part 2?
They haven't announced yet. They said later this fall, part 2 and part 3. It would not shock me. I'm just going to speculate here. Sorry, this is no inside information. It feels right for that to at least another part to come out on the Georgia game.
Yeah, right.
And so I don't know if it'll be like they do part 2 before that and then finish with part 3. It feels maybe like almost a beginning of end of September thing, end of October type of situation. I don't know.
Spread it out some.
But if you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor, go watch it. It is good stuff. I promise you will not regret it. The Stage, part 1 of Unspoken 2010. Definitely check it out on War Eagle Plus. Finally, very quickly, I think we would do a disservice if we didn't talk about this a little bit. This was part of our football bonanza last week with all the news. You just didn't have time. You're about to see it this week, folks. We continue to talk about the fan experience side of things, where it's new seating options, experiences. But even if you're just going to be at the game, you're getting the opportunity to have a just entertainment fest. And I often wonder, Austin, is this announcement we're about to talk about coinciding with the announcement that Auburn is going to be hosting a lot of events in Jordan-Hare and things like that? So what it is, MuseCo, I think is how you pronounce it, Entertainment, is going to do some upgrades for our lighting, sound system, to do these really unique, first of its kind in a college football stadium. Auburn's on the cutting edge of this, where they're going to do this in Jordan-Hare Stadium in Neville beginning this athletic calendar year. And you can have a variety of like custom logo projections, lasers, other static, custom scenes, effects all throughout the stadium, the arena too, as well. I feel like these two things tie very well together, the announcement of future events other than sports, but also right now for sports. So we're going to see it not tonight, obviously, but later this weekend, because we got a night game. It's going to be in full effect.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see. People are asking me about the pictures and about like kind of what it looks like. And I just feel like I don't have a full grasp on what it's going to look like until I see it. So
yeah,
like you said, I really hope it happens this week. That'd be really cool for the home opener, for them to show off all the new toys. And so we'll get to see it. I think the pictures make it look really crisp, but also like a little bit more animated than it might be. So I'm looking forward to seeing exactly what it looks like in real time.
It's feeling like a rave party in there now. Not that it already wasn't with, because reminder, folks, we confirmed this because Rhett Hobart said this a couple weeks ago that there will be dual fireworks on each of the new video boards.
You can see them up there too. You can see the little guns, I guess.
Spout guns?
That's a terrible name for it. You can see the cannons.
Cannons. There we go.
There you
Launchers. Something.
Projectiles.
Projectiles, those would be projectors.
Let's just move on.
Okay, I'm moving on. All right, Musco Entertainment partnering with Auburn, and hopefully we'll get to see it this weekend. If not, it's coming later on this year for Auburn football and many more athletic events and other future events as well too. At the end, we might do a real quick rest of the Auburn sports thing. We're literally waiting on something to end. Probably won't, but let's go ahead and get into our main topics this evening. We've already given you a little bit of a taste of it. We're talking about Austin's experience of walking around Baylor. He did get to go. I unfortunately didn't, but we have a game.
I should say too that I did run into one of our very loyal listeners, John. My mom ran into him first and they started talking, and my mom is very, very proud of the show. And so she said, she tells many people you should listen to Auburn Experience. He said, no, I do. He said, I actually do. And she said, well, this is my son right here in Austin. And she said, I watch you. And so it was very neat to see John. Very nice to meet him. And he was very complimentary of the show, which I really appreciate. John was leading.
John. This
was right before Tiger Watt, leading Bodegetta, leading Trackham. He hit a booming voice that was resonating near the fans. So very cool to meet John and really appreciate his support.
Well, and we appreciate that, guys. Seriously, when you guys are out and about, if you see one of us, just come up, say hello. We're just normal people. Like, we're not,
sometimes less than normal. So
I mean, you've seen Austin just did this thing and called it like guns or something like on the show. So we
were moving on.
No, I'm not moving on from it in any way. So obviously, let's dive into the game itself. Once again, we don't have the time to go into all the detail, but we just want to give you our general thoughts about it. We'll give you some grades and maybe just a quick preview of Ball State too. I thought the game went about as well as it could for a first game in a major opponent's venue on the road. I find very little to be truly upset about. And once again, I continue to stress to fans, if you are forming overarching mega opinions or worries, or even like just over the top, like it's going to be like this the rest of the year, you are doing yourself and your team a disservice. That doesn't mean you can't be excited. That doesn't mean you can't celebrate. And that doesn't mean you can't also go, well, I sure would like to see this improve, because we're going to talk about it. There's some things that certainly need to be worked on, and Coach addressed that already in the press conference today. But I think Austin, I assume you probably share some similar opinions that I find very little to be upset about with performance of the team versus Baylor.
Yeah, no, I mean, first offensive drive comes and goes, and I would be lying if I said the general consensus up there in the stands was here we go. But no, there was little I found to be upset with. There's certainly things that need to be cleaned up in the first game. The defense and the secondary is certainly one of them that you've already heard that addressed. I don't think DJ Durkin's going to be happy about 24 points to Baylor. Now, I do think, and I touched on this last week and other weeks, that Sawyer Robertson of Baylor is incredibly talented. And you saw that when he put up over 400 yards over what was considered a very big strength of Auburn's secondary or defense. So there's things that have to be cleaned up, and I trust they will. But overall, I don't see how you can't be optimistic and excited about what you saw from the offense, what you saw from special teams, especially, and the overall 2025 Auburn Tigers debut.
Yeah, I listened. Defense obviously is probably the most glaring of moments that make you go, oh, that's yeah, that's not good. We need to work on that a little bit, whether that's tackling, whether that is why we continue to let the same play, it felt like, over the middle, underneath the DB's pass. And it was not even Josh Cameron that really was making the dent. It was Trigg, right? Trigg was the big one that really.
Michael Trigg had a really big game.
And he got the touchdown in the end zone where I also felt that he pushed off a little bit. But hey, there were some. Can we just acknowledge? Look, the refs again. I don't think they were a major factor in the game, but both sides. I mean, they dropped the ball a lot in this game. What did you have a different view from the stands, or
no? I thought the face mask is what everyone wants to talk about right now. I thought that it was made up for pretty soon after with the pass interference on Auburn. Right after, all in all, it doesn't really matter because Baylor scored on that drive.
Right.
So I don't think the face mask was that big of an indication. It was a total miss. I'm not discounting that. It was as bad as the one from the Iron Bowl a couple of years ago that was just blatant. Those are the kind of plays that you question. I'm like, what are y'all doing down there in the stripes? Are y'all just kind of picking your nose or what?
Well, it's you don't want to think that there's makeup calls, but then there's such an egregious, call the other way, and then there's one right after. Like if you are going to do that, like if that is really a thing that happens, at least spend some time in between the plays, like significant,
Sure.
so that you can't go, oh, that's a makeup call. And look, I think that was by definition a pass interference, but they let them play and
right.
things like that. It's just kind of one of those things.
It's one of those things. I don't think it played a role in the game overall.
Right.
I think, there's some that could say that, and I think they might be kind of overcompensating a little bit, but it was a great game for Auburn. We'll get into some specifics here soon, I think, with different areas of the game, but I don't know how you can't walk away at least encouraged.
You can't encourage about the run game, especially. And I'd like to say this as well. I see a lot of fans trying to build a narrative of being worried about the passing game. Folks, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you are gashing them almost 7 yards per carry, why on earth would you stop doing it? It helps you control the clock, helps you control the momentum. And if you can do it, especially on the road. The passing game will come along. And it was fine. Like the stat was released today with Jackson Arnold getting SEC Offensive Player of the Week. With him, they also posted that he was the first Auburn quarterback since Nick, I forget what it was, but they were comparing him to Nick Marshall.
Over 100 yards rushing or 150 yards rushing. And I think first since Cam to have 100 passing, 100 rushing in his debut. So, yeah, some of my friends and I were not upset, but wanting to see the receiving go berserk.
Sure.
Right. We all were. We've all been talking about it for all off season. It's the shiny new toy. But I think what you take away, and I guess let's just move into offense here, Kyle.
Let's go ahead and do it and give you the rest of your take and your grades.
What you take away from this is one, it was very obvious from, I'm not saying it wasn't obvious on TV, but from our vantage point at the stadium, it's very obvious Baylor was not taking the two safeties away all night. They were not letting the receivers go wild. They knew the receiving core. One of my really good friends, Jacob, said they knew the aliens were out there on the wide edge and they're not letting them beat them. They knew that. They said, it's not happening. And I think that's smart. Dave Aranda is an incredibly smart defensive minded coach. I don't discount that at all, or don't discredit him for doing that at all. But I think what it showed you by not forcing it, because that happened at times last year, not forcing the receiving play to be on full display, shows you a little bit of step in growth and maturity from Auburn's offensive play callers and Hugh Freeze of just take what they give you. And if it's working, don't stop. Do whatever it takes to get wins. And you saw that in Hugh's press conference today, that's what they're going to do. Whatever the offense needs or whatever the offense is getting, that's what they're going to keep doing to end up on top at the end. So I thought it was a really smart way to go about it. I really liked the idea of mixing in the run game with Arnold, with Cobb, with Alston. They all had a very equal amount of reps and all produced. I think that speaks very highly of the offensive line. If you can't be encouraged about the offensive line after this, you might never be, because that is the best performance I've seen from an Auburn offensive line in a long time. And there's room for improvement, certainly, but the baseline seems a lot higher than it has been in previous years. Overall, I give them, an A minus. I think I'm very happy with the offense. I thought that if the run game is how it's going to be for Auburn this year, and that's what it looks like, I think Auburn's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I'm going to go out not on a limb here, Austin. I'm giving them an A plus.
There you
I
go.
am. Listen, I just got done saying don't overbuild things and stuff like that. But like I said, I find very little to be upset. The first drive was frustrating, really the first two, because we saw a sack immediately. But folks, that was the only sack the entire game for Auburn. Now, credit to Jackson Arnold for, running around for a little bit, and he was having to do that. And I was feeling it, kind of like, here we go again. But credit to the offensive line. Now, if you watch the post-game show, that you saw me kind of change my tune on the offensive line as I started seeing the stats and thinking about it. It's like, we forgot about them. That's what you're supposed to do, is forget about them, because they're doing their job. Everybody else is taking center stage. So that alone launches it into an A. Tight ends did well. Wide receivers, with what they were given opportunities to do, did well. Pass blocking as well. Running backs out. I say A plus. I say A plus. Now, on the defensive side, certainly we can go the opposite direction. Tackling, especially in the defensive back area, was very poor at times. They know it. Coaches know it. It's no shock. You don't have to say it 1,000 times in the comment sections on Facebook. We got it. You didn't like the tackling. None of us did. I think some of what feels frustrating is what we already talked about, the consistency with which they were going over the middle, underneath the DBs, that pass, and with what it was happening. It felt like if we had locked that down, maybe this game could have been a little bit more in hand earlier. Now, mistakes also happened for Auburn on their part that kept them from other reasons from getting out ahead. But for me, I'm going to say defense. I don't want to go too drastic. I think you could go into a D range, but I'm going to just say C minus right now. What do you think?
I was going to just go C. I think when hyping up the defensive secondary all off season and then seeing that kind of performance, it makes you feel uneasy. But I also think when you look at who you're playing, and I know a lot of fans wanted to snuff at Baylor and snuff at the Big 12 and whatever, but Baylor has a long history of pass happy offenses. And playmakers on the end, and they schemed up a great game against Auburn, and Auburn did not adjust to affect those crossing routes across the unders and let guys get behind them at times. So I think it's going to be a busy week of practice for Jay Crawford and I was going to say Champ Anthony, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Just for the secondary as a whole, of kind of figuring out, getting back to some technique, getting back to playing with some intensity that apparently they've been showing in practice, according to coach, and playing during the game. So, I'm not as worried yet. I truly think that Baylor has playmakers out there that gave Auburn fits and would, but the adjustments is what I want to see. I also think too, when you look at some of the big time plays, were really the bulk of that yardage that Baylor's picked up. The first touchdown they had, that was just a wide open, to the guy who apparently was a game changer in the Iron Bowl, and I don't remember ever hearing that. But Prentice. But announcers seem to be all over that
somehow.
Just whatever. So I think the chunk plays made up a big bulk of that yardage. Now it still happened, and it was still a legitimate thing you need to take care of, but overall, there's a lot of room for improvement. I was excited to see guys like Chris Murray, a transfer in, make a lot of impact on the defensive line, the edge position. Keldrick Falk. That's not to just discount him, but it's just like, what else can that guy do?
Well, he closed the game out on defense, essentially.
Absolutely.
For us. So, I mean, that's exactly what you do.
Chase guys down. He made a lot of draft tape in week 1, and I can't wait to see what he does the rest of the year. So there's plenty to improve on, but I think 24 is a little bit too much for that Auburn defense, and DJ Durkin knows that, and so the adjustments will be fun to see what comes.
Yeah, it's a benchmark to go. So we can't let this happen again. Can't let this. I mean, if it does, we're going to find the offense obviously can keep up, but we can't put them in a position. We're still working, figuring out how this is going to go every week. Can't just assume everything's going to work that way, the exact same way on offense. So obviously good benchmarks to start working from. Finally, just special teams really quickly. Lots of good stories here. I'm just going to give an A+ here as well. I'm just giving out the A+. Rayshon Pleasant goes yard and lives up to the hype that's been building all offseason. I mean, just absolutely unreal. And then the story, and even one of our viewers who's watching live has already pointed it out, of Alex McPherson getting to play and being 100%. Now, granted, they weren't the most difficult. It wasn't the most difficult field goal in the world. And I think that was by design and choice. But even looking outside of the other situations, I don't find any reason special teams to be upset at anything else. Anything you'd like to point out?
No,
Or
I
Ray?
thought from punting to kicking to returns, everything went well for Auburn on this from the special teams, if not above average. I thought Rashawn Pleasant, that was a moment in the game too where a lot of us were talking in the stands. If Auburn goes 3-and-out right here, you get worried that things are swinging back the other way. Well, they never got a chance to get on the field because Pleasant went the distance. Just very well set up too by blocking and obviously he made the run, but just a great job. And like you said, McPherson was not warming up as much out there when we got in the stadium, and I was concerned that things had really taken it worse for him. But to see him kind of overcome that and kick a field goal with a colostomy bag and all the things he's had to go through just to get back to that point is very inspiring, very cool. So I hope that is a sign of a long season he's able to see success in. I give it an A.
I mean, just from his effort and what he's having to deal with to be out there, heart alone, I probably would have put it in the A regardless, but just with that touchdown, A+. So obviously putting that one to bed, there's our grades, there's our impressions. We didn't cover everything, but it's the best we could do. But we're really pleased with where we're starting with. Finally, just a quick preview of Ball State. We'll try to do one of this for you every single week. I give my score predictions, and we do a prediction show on Thursday. So I'm going to reserve the right to do that to them. But I am going to put Austin on the spot here.
And of course you are.
If he'd like to give a score prediction, we would love it. I'm not going to force him to. But real quick thoughts here. Ball State, obviously, you're supposed to win it. First game, home game. Lots going to be happening there. Night game, excitement, hoopla galore. We're going to be honoring Pat Dye and that legacy as well. So much of a good feel-good story. I think the weather right now, Austin, is supposed to be good.
I haven't looked. I can do some live research for you while I talk.
I think at this moment it's supposed to be decent, not like the hottest it's been. And I think maybe a slight chance of but that's just, summer.
We'll take decent over what we normally get on the first weekends of September.
Absolutely.
Ball State, this is a game Auburn, hopefully they get to work on a lot of these things, right? Like outside of just practice, but against another opponent that we've been talking about. I do think you'll see, just based on the sheer talent difference alone, you'll see Auburn's receiving core maybe get some more of these touches we're all hoping for, test some things out. But at the end of the day, Auburn needs a win. And so if that's not working for whatever reason, hopefully the ground game will be enough and that offensive line can continue to show its strength. I think Auburn's going to do fine. I think the defense is going to be challenged a lot this week in practice and want to go out and make a statement. I'll end it with a prediction of like 45-10, and Ball State gets a late touchdown, maybe against some freshmen getting their first taste of Jordan Hare Stadium.
Well, you would anticipate the goal here is to get out ahead and get people in that need playing time. And with that comes people who make more mistakes, aren't as well versed and stuff, and not as they're excited to be out there too. First game too. So you're going to just play over the top a little bit. Champ Anthony being out, unfortunately, means
stinks.
It does stink. Sounds like he's got a couple of weeks he's going to be out, but it presents opportunities, especially at that safety position.
Yes,
where there's a lot of talent. So be watching for that. Rest other guys that are hurt. A lot of things to look forward to. Do you have something for us there?
Let's it's 93 and 66 on Saturday, and this is a night game with a low of 66. Could be a nice night.
It could be. The night will be.
Get you feeling pretty good right before you die at homecoming the week after.
Don't remind me. All right. Well, there's your preview, at least early week preview for Auburn versus Ball State. As our final main topic this evening, we are going to give you some basketball flavor because, folks, as much as we love it being football and us being back on the plains, homecoming up and all that stuff, it's always a great time to continue talking about Auburn basketball and Bruce Pearl, who, by the way, had a great time at Baylor. It looked like. Did you see him out there, Austin?
I did. We saw the video going around pregame, and we were trying to find out where he was. We think he was several sections over. Real quick, we were literally 10 people from the band. And I mean, I still hear glory to old Auburn in this year.
Yeah.
But it was an awesome place to be, with being that close to them and getting to see kind of their work up close and personal, all the people that kind of keep them organized.
Yeah.
But no, I think Coach was further down. But yeah, I loved seeing that, and how cool that he got to travel out there.
Yeah, I Bruce has been one of those guys that makes those efforts if it makes sense with his schedule and what he's got going on in the off season. He's a very supportive of all things Auburn, and I'm sure Coach Freeze loves that. Bruce continues to build his brand so well here at Auburn. So with basketball schedules now officially being out, I've been asking for this for weeks, like begging for this. I need this, like I need air, and we finally got it. This also couples with, and we were prepared to talk about just the announcement of what apparently was the final piece they needed of the tip off at Tumors. Now, a little bit underwhelming. We'll get there, I think, in what people were expecting now. That I would caution you folks, when you go through the schedule, you're going to see once again a bunch of small
You mean
names.
holiday hoopsgiving, right?
I'm sorry, what did I say?
Tip off at Tumors. I was like, I didn't see that.
No, holiday hoopsgiving is what. Thank you for clarifying on that. A lot of things running through this head these years right now. But yes, holiday hoopsgiving is maybe a little bit underwhelming in the opponent, but Bruce and his staff are always scheduling the guys in the mid majors that are either going to compete, most of them at least, for their title, are the reigning champs of their league, whatever. So don't be disappointed if it wasn't necessarily the matchup. I think Austin too, just real quick, I saw a rumor that it was supposed to be Miami versus Auburn or somebody like that at not tip off, almost did again, at holiday hoopsgiving, and they weren't able to agree to that or something like. Did you see anything about that?
Yes, I know of at least two other teams that were at least scheduled to be in that with Miami, St. John's, and I cannot remember the last one. And look,
they don't want the smoke.
If you're just scared to play Auburn in Atlanta, just say it. I think that's probably a real factor. Look, we love Trey Donaldson for his time here, but at Miami, I guess he didn't want to see a repeat of what happened in the tournament. So
I forgot about that.
It didn't work out. I think it's okay. I totally echo what you said. For Chattanooga to be the opponent, just skip ahead here for just a second. They won the NIT last year, and a lot of those guys maybe have gone or elsewhere or transferred up or things like that. But that's the kind of level of talent that we're looking at in the SoCon of someone who was very close to getting to the tournament. I think they won the regular season last year, if I remember right, and are always competitive. So nothing to snuff on. And I totally agree. I think Chattanooga, on the flip side of us saying maybe other teams are scared to play Auburn, will be chomping at the bit to get to play this game in an NBA arena against Auburn, who will have a big crowd. So I'm excited for that game, and I think most people should be too.
And obviously we know Auburn folks are going to just fill up the stadium as they usually do and be the bigger crowd that's there. But look, the Mocs are not far away. It's a true midpoint. And so I'm expecting a good Mocs crowd. So I hope they do show up, because I want to see one of those type. It could feel a little bit like a first round game situation for a high ranked Auburn team and just a mid-major team that's usually where they're seated that could play very well. It could have that type of excitement around it. All right, here's the rest of your schedule. And maybe towards the end, we can just do quick preview predictions or whatever you want to call it. We obviously have the preseason exhibition games, Oklahoma State and Memphis, that are separate, but those are going to be exciting things that are going to be happening in October. But the regular season is as such: home versus Bethune-Cookman, home versus Merrimack, home versus Wofford, in Birmingham for Houston, the return game, who's going to be a good team this year. Big one, could be the benchmark, just like it was last season, that sets for this team. Back home for Jackson State. No, Dion can't help them anymore. I know it's a different sport, but Jackson State's coming to town. Then the Players Era Championship, which is going to include games out in Vegas with Oregon, Michigan, and a opponent. Well, it was opponent to be determined one day when I looked at it, but it looks like that's just the two now listed. So those two are right there. Then the ACSEC Challenge in Auburn, Alabama versus NC State. And then, listen to that, folks, Oregon, Michigan is NC State on the road, Tucson, in what some people consider a blue blood, Arizona. That is going to be tough. Then you come back to Atlanta for a kind of a home game for Auburn in Atlanta versus Chattanooga, which we talked about. Then you go to Purdue, and then you come home and finish up with Queens. Of course, the last one at home is like the last, hey, let's get this thing ship righted before we go to the SEC. At first glance, Austin, I think because we were expecting maybe a little bit more pop with that Atlanta game, just been the opponent alone, that kind of made it a little bit disappointing. But listen to what I just walked through, Austin. Oregon, Michigan, NC State, Arizona, Chattanooga, who you don't need to dismiss out of hand in Atlanta, and then Purdue. That stretch alone is going to, I don't want to step out here and say it's going to define Auburn's season, but is really going to determine how they have positioned themselves, good or bad, or having to climb a little bit. And some of those things are on the road at neutral sites. That's going to be a challenge.
Well, and you throw in there that, and I think this might be where you were tripping up a little bit. Is
Thank
that
you.
the third? You get 3 games in the
I thought
players.
so.
You'll get 3, whether you go 0-2, 1-1, or 2-0. You'll get a third one.
Okay.
And that field is loaded. It could be Alabama. It could be Kansas. It could be a ton of people. How great would it be to get that Alabama game right before the Iron
in
Bowl?
Vegas? Oh,
that'd be awesome. Like a little Thanksgiving. People, that'd be incredible. So you throw that in there as well, and you're looking at 7 straight games that are going to be big tests in the offseason or in the non-conference. Really, really cool. It's what we expect now. I think Auburn has decided this is the way they're going, with loading up in the non-conference to get ready for SEC play, and it obviously worked out last year. And I have no doubt that it'll prepare them well again this year. So that weekend that slate from November 24th to December 20th. And obviously, Houston and Wofford, and there's another SoCon team in Wofford, but Houston, Wofford, Jackson State, and all those before will still be tests to figure things out. But it's game on from November 24th on.
Man, I get more and more excited the more I look at this schedule. And you know how much we loved last year's schedule with everything that transpired, the results of it, but also just the way everything laid out and the storylines. Maybe we can get into an issue on a plane again. I don't know. Get things stirred up a little bit.
Where's the first flight here? Vegas? On the way to Vegas? We're going to get all riled up.
All right. Look, if you had to pick a favorite game on this non-conference or one that you think is the most important, which one is it? I'm just kind of spitballing here.
Most important, I think, is the Houston game in Birmingham. Yeah. I think that will be, like you said, a big litmus test for Auburn. Just like it was last year, you get a few more games under your belt before you go play them. But that's a team that played for the national championship last year. And Auburn beat them last year. And so, Tahad Pettifer getting to see Houston again, and Kelvin Sampson getting another taste at what Auburn and Bruce Pearl look like now on their kind of home court, I think will be a great game. My favorite game on here is in Tucson at Arizona. I think that's going to be a really, really cool atmosphere. Very similar to going to play in Cameron Indoor or these other basketball, royalty venues. So I think that one's going to be a lot of fun.
I think we've got a trend here. We're like kind of rolling with these matchups. So you do Houston home and then back their home and then our home. And now you've got the same thing, this neutral site thing in Purdue, but then now you're doing this with Arizona. So I'm all for this, Bruce Pearl and Co. Let's keep one every year. We need 2. We should be away for one and then home for another, with these major names coming in and Auburn going to them. I'm all about this.
Agreed.
Because if nothing, you may suffer for it. You might take a few losses depending on how the team's playing, but it is worth it in the end, just from a spectacle standpoint. I concur with the first game of Houston is going to set the tone for the rest of the season. But let me just point this out, and it could be either way. That Purdue game in Indiana, with everything that they brought back, if Auburn wins that one, it can change the perspective of the non-conference depending on how many losses you took. But it could also just elevate Auburn incredibly heading into a challenging SEC competition. So much meat on the bone here to digest and think about too.
I was hoping to find if we could figure out really quick that if any of these are new opponents for basketball. Do you know?
I did not look, and I should have done research.
I was trying to find the graphic really quick, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find it in time.
I don't know that we played Queens, but that's we'll look at that maybe.
I didn't see anything from Clint over when this was announced.
Yeah.
So maybe not, but maybe who knows? He would know.
He would definitely know. So look at Clint when you want to ask questions like that. He's the guy with the graphics and all the knowledge that you probably don't need, but he's going to tell you anyway. We love you, Clint. We've already previewed SEC schedule, so we're not going to go back through that majorly. We've got a whole segment of that if you want to talk about that. Certainly, if there's anything that changes, Austin, for your perspective that you're willing to, you can have the chance to share it if you'd like. But maybe let's do it this way. If I've got my math correct, you got 18 SEC games to play. You've got 13, because that would be 31 games is usually what it is, non-conference game. So let's say non-conference. If you want to throw out just a way too early, we're sitting here at the very beginning of September, non-conference record of 13 games. What say you?
Non-conference of 13. That's all it is, right?
Yeah,
I'm counting the exhibitions. My bad.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 13. Let's see. Do some quick math here. Yeah, 13-0. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow. If we go 13-0, we are champs.
I'm gonna say maybe like you go 2-1 in Vegas.
Yeah.
And then just like playing the odds, and then you look at the road games, maybe drop a couple. I'll say, man,
that's tough, isn't it?
It's hard, but it's a brand new team. I feel 9-4, 10-3 range. I think I'm gonna say 9-4 and just play it on the safe side.
Yeah.
That's where you were going, wasn't it?
That's where I was going.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna say 9-4. I would have to go. I'm not taking our time, so we have dead air to go through each one. But I'm trying to think in my head of where I see those.
Well, Arizona is a strong case for that to
Very.
happen, right? There's a strong case for at least one to happen at some point in Vegas. You got to think Purdue is also a strong case. So right there, that's your strongest ones. So I think if you're anticipating right now Auburn to not have, or to have less than 3 losses, you're reaching a little bit right now, just based off what we think we know. Even if they have a team as good as last year, these are challenging teams and a challenging schedule. It just feels like that's the Auburn way to drop one you're not supposed to sometimes, even in basketball. Sure. So that's why I'm just going to sit on 9-4 in the non-conference.
I think 9-4, and I did just kind of go through it in my head. Even if you go like maybe 1-2 in Vegas, I think that you'd be okay with 9-4 coming into the new year.
Mm-hmm. And then in SEC, I don't remember exactly what we said. Certainly, it can change. You got 18 games, so right now where I'm sitting at, just not really analyzing it, it would not shock me to see Auburn go like 15-5, 18 games. I'm sorry, that's math, Kyle. Y'all just watch me struggle with math again. I would not be shocked to see Auburn go like 13-5, but I also wouldn't be shocked to see them go 11-7 just because of how challenging it is. I'm going to say 13-5 in SEC. So my math, I'm going to do math again in my head. Help me. What would that record be?
9 losses and 22 wins, right?
Yeah, 9 losses and 22 wins. That'd be it. That's pretty good. A 20-win season. So how about that? So we don't have to struggle through the math. Would it shock you to see this Auburn team, even with the schedule, hit 20 wins?
Yeah, no, I was going to say just under you maybe on SEC play and see like 21 wins, 10 losses, something like that. I think you're happy with that. It's not, elite like we've been saying in the past few years, but let's remember that too last year, that as Kyle and I discussed on this show, some episode in the past 6 months, that was the best team in Auburn basketball history, in our opinion. And so you don't have that this year. So I think that, you temper those expectations a little bit, but still not to say that it's not going to be a talented team. I think it will be. But I think right there at 21, 22, 23 wins, I could see it.
Saddle up, folks. It is going to be fun. And I thought I was excited about last year. I am already so excited about this year and Auburn basketball. Your schedule's full. Go check it out and plan your trips accordingly to Auburn and other places. As a final note, real quick, because we did last long enough.
There you go.
In the live show portion for things to happen, we can do your last little roundup to end the show, and then we'll just say our goodbyes. The rest of the Auburn sports this week and weekend, I guess technically we should say week because it went like 5 days over the holiday. We had soccer losing to Baylor, but it was a very hard fought match. We had a highly ranked Baylor. They just beat Utah Valley in their trip out to Utah. So they are 1-1 on the week, and non-conference is quickly wrapping up. So this weekend, I think, is the last of it. So you need to go check it out. Volleyball got going. They did lose to, I think it's number 4 Louisville at their place, but they beat everybody else, Morehead State and St. John's, and pretty strong performance there in those 2 games, especially. And it was believe it or not, I know when you lose 3-0, 3 straight sets, it feels sometimes like things didn't go so well. But if you go look at how it was scored, Auburn was in it, and they just couldn't close out the deal against Louisville. And then cross country, it was at the JSU Invitational. The women won theirs, first place. The men got second, but there was an Auburn and individual runner for the men who got first place. Just the points didn't line up how they needed for first place overall as the men team. So that is your roundup of Auburn sports from this last weekend, and that'll wrap us up. Unless you wanted to say anything on that note, Austin. I feel like we
No, that's good. I think we covered. I think your first opportunity to see Auburn volleyball is Wednesday night against Troy. I think we're going to try and make an appearance and get to see the ladies kick the home season off. So there's plenty of that opportunity now that the season's getting away, and maybe some of you can come in early for football this weekend.
Love it. Lots to be excited about. First home weekend for football and so much more. And thank you guys for sticking with us this week on a different schedule, at a different time, a different day for the Auburn Experience. You can always find me on Twitter at KyleLoomis24. Where can they find you?
Yeah, on X, on Instagram at Austin G. Scott.
And that will do it for episode 141. Thanks for hanging out. Until we talk to you again. War Eagle.